This is snippets from a recent chat on the MeWe that I thought might be of interest to our wider audience. As not, we have far more that listen to the show than our members on the social media. And it panned out into a much larger piece. But the recent hurricane, off of the east coast of America called Isaias, may well be more of this symbolic clownery, as Isaias actually means Yahweh is salvation. Oops. And the very fact that the media and the fear porn channel known as the Weather Channel went to such great lengths to tell the public of how they should pronounce it tells you it is a spellcast and or program. And the question remains is, were they trying to get us to call in their fake salvation God known as Yahweh? So I looked it up for more details and I came across this piece. The wars of the 9th century and the peaceful security following them produced their effects in the latter part of the next century. Cities sprang up, new pursuits, although affording opportunities of easy wealth, brought about also an increase in poverty. The contrast between class and class became daily more marked, and the poor were oppressed by the rich with the connivance of the judges. So here we are, 1200 years later, with the same issues, the same greed-based peoples accumulating easy wealth, and those that participate in that then create the consequences of that, which is poverty. And the poor being oppressed by the rich and facilitated by the judges has not changed either, has it? The judges were the priest class then, and the priest class now, and they are now known as Cohens. No, it's not a coincidence. And what it stated back then is a social state founded on inequity is doomed. But as Israel's social corruption was greater than Judah's, Juda, Israel was expected to succumb first. Now, what they are actually referring to here is the house of Israel, not the country. There was no country. And it said, greater likewise was her religious corruption. This is referring to Israel, social corruption and religious corruption. Not only did idolatrous worship prevail there to the end, but we know from Osee what gross abuses and shameful practices obtained in Samaria and throughout the kingdom. Osee is another name of Hosea. Whereas the religion of the people of Judah on the whole seems to have been a little better. Judea was taken over by the house of Israel and became the religion. Not of God, although the question is which God, but the religion which means binding of law. The Hebrew and its derivatives, Talmud and the Torah, are all based on law. Not law and justice as we know it, but a group of rules that applies to all of the people except them. So let's look at it closely, shall we? Judah, Jud-A becomes Judah with a H. That then spawned the term Judas and later the term Jew. Judaism means Jew-hood. Hood means to cover, and so the Jew-hood means to cover the Jew. Hood also means gangster, and given the antics of the Silk Road these people controlled, and throw in the Knights of Jerusalem known as the Templars, the description does indeed tend to fit in. But to cover the Jew is certainly what applied when other words came out from Jud or Judah, and all are related to law and the priest class who represent them. Words like Jud, Juz, Jud Ishari, Jud Jment, Jud Ishus, Jud X, which means the one who declares the law. Judges in Jewish history refers to a war leader vested with a temporary power, as in the book of Judges, from the Latin Judex being used to translate in Hebrew to the word shofet. The Hebrew term shofet, which is translated into English as judge, is closer in meaning to ruler and a kind of military leader. But then we have other words that connects to the Jewish law, not religion, with Jewry, justice, and jurisdiction. The English term for justice and law was doom, for passing judgment, and it adds a whole new meaning to the term doomsday book. Now, doesn't it? Which means it's a book of law. And then you add in the Christian doomsday narrative of these same people passing judgment upon us. A bigger story emerges. We know, however, as regards these, that at the very time of Isaiah, certain forms of idolatrous worship, like that of Nohestan, and also of Moloch, probably that of Tamur and the host of heaven, as it was called, were going on in the open or in secret in the house of Israel. So the Israels were worshipping Moloch, and most who listen to our show are now familiar with that entity. But who or what is Nohestan? Well, it is the derogatory name given to the bronze serpent on the pole first described in the book of Numbers, which is Gematria, which God told Moses to erect so that the Israelites who saw it would be protected from dying from the bites of the fiery serpents. Who sent the fiery serpents? God. God had sent the fiery serpents to punish them for speaking against him and Moses. The Israelites set out from Mount Hor, where Aaron was buried, to go to the Red Sea. However, they had to do a detour around the land of Edom. Numbers 20, paragraphs 21 through 25. It said, impatient, they complained against Jehovah, who is Yahweh, and Moses, Numbers 20:4-5, and in response, God sent fiery serpents among them, and many died. The people came to Moses to repent and asked him to ask God to take away the serpents. Moses prayed to God, who told Moses, "Make thee a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he seeth it, shall live." Numbers 21:4-9. This did not remove the source of the people's suffering. It enabled them to survive it, according to the book. Is this the type of God you should be worshipping? Do people read this shit and go, "Wells the Fargo"? Sending fiery serpents to hurt the people, stated to be the chosen ones, over a disagreement. Seriously. This is the fake God you're all praying to. Well, actually, you're not praying to, but you're being preyed upon. Pray spelt P-R-E-Y. And what the previous caption told you is, this group of people were Moloch worshippers who sacrificed theirs and our children. Moloch or Molech in Egyptian means owl, and why they have the giant owl in Bohemian Grove, where they sacrifice children. Although there are rumours of Bohemian Grove being burnt to the ground to remove the said evidence, but not confirmed. And it's just like the Temple of Solomon and Herod, and also Angkor Wat, and all the other global temples. And bearing in mind they are trying to build a third temple in Israel. And you have people desiring or wishing for this construction. But do you wish to follow God, quote unquote? But this is not our God. That is the God of the non-thinking and adult children. I'm sorry, but it is. You cannot read these scriptures rationally and think that all is holier than thou and righteous. It's just not. And it all goes back to Egypt again and their laws, incest, hierarchy, slavery and dominance over the people. Egypt went to New York. Go and check out Cleopatra's Needle. It went to Utah with their fake Mormon religion, and went to California where the elites built a hidden pyramid called Opus One. Opus One is all very Opus Dei to me. Opus Dei means the work of God. The question is, who or what is their God? The answer has many names, but for simplicity, let's just call it Satan, shall we?